Hello, everybody. Welcome. Rose is Psychic Investigator. So today is Monday, March 16th, and it's 2 p.m. local time. And I wanted to cover a few things that have been happening. There's nothing happening. Just kidding. And it's a statement that Trump made yesterday, I believe, about NATO. He's now threatening NATO and saying NATO has to come to help. And I think it's so interesting because just like a month ago, he was threatening to go into Greenland, remember? And now he's like basically begging them for help. So let's see what's going on with that. But before we do it, let me ask for protection. I'd like to ask for protection, a beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I feel my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I like to ask that information come only from the highest sources, that it create the good and all the good, and so it is. So let's get started. All right, so let's look at the article. All right, so Donald Trump warns NATO faces very bad failure if allies fail to help US and Iran. The president tells the Financial Times in an interview that China's summit could be delayed. The US president, oh, here it is. Okay. Essentially, he wants the allies to help, only help opening up the Strait of Hormuz, sending a blunt message to European nations to join this war effort in Iran. It's only appropriate that people who are the beneficiaries of the strait will help to make sure that nothing bad happens there. Trump arguing that Europe and China are heavily dependent on oil from the Gulf, unlike the US. If there is no response, or if it's a negative response, I think it will be bad, very bad for the future of NATO. Trump's comments made in an 8-minute phone call with the Financial Times came a day after he appealed to China, France, Japan, South Korea, and the UK to join a team effort to open the choke point through which a fifth of the world's oil passes. Iran, in effect, shut the strait after the US and Israel launched their war more than 2 weeks ago, sparking fears of a new oil price shock. For the global economy, US efforts to open the waterway have largely failed. International oil prices hit 106 a barrel on Sunday evening, up about 45% since the start of the war. So, okay, here it is. Despite his warning, Trump was pessimistic that US allies would heed his pleas for help. We have a thing called NATO, said Trump, who has often criticized the alliance. We've been very sweet. We didn't have to help them with Ukraine. Ukraine is thousands of miles away from us, but we helped them. Now we'll see if they help us, because I've long said that it will be there for them, but they won't be there for us. And I'm not sure that they'll be there. So there's a lot to unpack here. And I say don't contradict myself, because I feel like I say to not take what he says at face value, right? But I think this is relevant in the sense that I've always seen NATO as playing a big role in taking him down, essentially. And the fact that, guys, in history, I've never seen a person so like he says this stuff with a straight face after all he's done, right? And it's like he could have not attacked them for starters. Mhm. And so it's like, so okay, so let's ask the question: why is he saying it now? What's going on behind the scenes, right? But why is he saying it now? I see this image of him in like a cabin. It's interesting. I'm in a phone booth at the work. Imagine it's like a tiny, essentially a place where you can there's a tiny desk with a like a seat, something like it's very small for like right, it's just for meetings, but if you lift up the table, something this small, and there's holes on the ground that the fire is starting to burn him his shoes, and he's screaming, "Go do this, go do that." But I have a question: Is he because they say the fire continues? They're burning the area, right? They're burning. They're not only not letting the ships in there, they're bombing these other countries. So it's saying he thought it was going to be like the terrorists, where they threaten countries like, all kinds of countries, right? He would threaten them and they would do something to prevent it from happening. He thought it was going to be like this. Right? Oh, I'm going to do this to Iran and they're just going to fold and just very simplistic. And now he knows they was told not to do it. He did it anyway. And now it's a mess. Like I said yesterday, there's a lot more casualties than they're reporting. The situation is very dire. Iran is not, they're not playing. Okay. These are serious people. They're defending their livelihood, their existence, right? They feel very, very threatened. So that's why they're doing all of this. And it tells me it is working because it's disrupting everything. And I see that Iran is betting. It's not betting. They know that if the oil prices go up, something's got to give. They're not giving up because they know how serious of a threat it is to them. And Trump. So what Trump? Okay, so he's trying to blame everybody but himself. And but I saw a comment online. Someone was like, "Why doesn't he ask the Israeli army to open the?" I know it's because I think it's the whole thing is impossible, but if he went to war with or for Israel, why can't they, why can't Trump ask, why can't he ask the Israelis to open up? And I see babies laughing at him. Ha ha ha. We got you. No, he's not. I think to be, logic, I would say be fair, but they have a lot going on. They have a lot in their hands. They're doing. They don't want to do that. Like I think it was yesterday or the day before that I had this vision about Bibi, and I saw Bibi saying kind of like washing his hands off of the whole most of the Iran thing. He's focusing on Lebanon now. So what happened? What's going on? So he's threatening, he's saying NATO, blaming NATO. It's because it's causing further division. And in some ways, I wonder, honestly, I see that he is from his perspective, he's getting burned and he's in a really dire situation in this little cabin thing. But I guess my question is Putin, because I feel like is Putin because Putin wants NATO to go down, right? China is laughing at the situation. No, they're like, no. So what is he saying? Does it make sense what I'm saying, guys? Is he saying this to just be divisive? Or is he asked, what the hell? Because it's so, the cynicism and the fact that he just, laughed at NATO the whole time. I see that they have their arms crossed. Nobody's going to know. They're not going to come to the U.S. rescue the U.S. And I see that the NATO is. I see they're talking to some of the military here and saying, "We're not going to do anything. We're happy to help." It's like they would help if you kind of like maybe it's time to. I don't know if they can say it necessarily quite like that, but they know there's no way out, and they kind of know that they have to let Trump collapse because that's the only way forward for them. Because the guy is crazy and his intent on destroying anything and everything. So what's going to happen? He's trying to push. I don't know. I see all these countries are like, nope, we're not going to get into that. You press the button. You deal with it. Okay. so so what is going to happen with the showdown of the relationship between the two, the NATO and the US? I see again, they're like, uh-uh. You work with it off? They're the ones I see that they're no, they created the mess, they deal with it, right? Because I see that Trump wants to just be like, "Oh, yeah, Imma get them involved, and then all the consequences go to them, not to me." But people are dying, and I see the military telling him, "No, it's impossible. You want suicide, it's a suicide mission, we're not gonna do that." And it will go to a kind of like a showdown situation. Wow, so wow, okay. Okay, so the next part of the question is, what will the situation look like in 1 week? March 23rd and then on April 1st. So I see the same image of Trump in the same sort of cabin, like this little room that I'm here. But then the fire has like it's really burning and he smells the smoke. And then I see outside here as if I'll just show you like, oh, I guess it's the background is blurred, but imagine that at the other side of the glass, there's people and they're like, and I see the NATO guys and everybody, hi there, Donald, things are burning down, and you set the fire. So he really does feel isolated to me, and they will let him. I see he's isolated and he's trying to kick the doors, but and he's hoping that somebody saves him, but he was the one who set the fire. So what it suggests here is that all the countries are, and even inside the government, he's on administration inside this country, they are letting him deal like they're letting him deal with his own isolation that he has created. And then I see the military saying, is it burning down enough, Donald? He's begging for help to leave the burning building. And you know that there's a lot of the cards they use have there's these Italian cards that have the misfortune image, and it's a burning building, right? So, but he set the fire, and the building is burning, and he's not rescued. And then finally, the door opens, and he has to leave. But does it make sense? The way out for him is going to have to be leaving the government, not in the way he wanted, right? And I see he's desperate, but also evil enough. Does it make sense, guys? He's such a devil person that he pushes things, he does things that nobody else would do, but the intention is so dark. I mean, this what he's done. And how many like hundreds of people all over the world that are national security specialists, war specialists, whatever, have said, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it." He does, and there we are. And I feel like it seems to me that all these other countries are staying cool, right? And using reason when he's trying to use emotion and fear. So that's what I see now. That's the 23rd. I see he's essentially begging for help away from the burning building he created for himself. And I see even those Gulf countries. They're like, we give you everything, and that's how how this is how you treat us. So there's just no support, right? Now let's go to April 1st. I mean, I know April 1st is a quote unquote, what is it? Fool's Day, April Fool's Day, but it has nothing. It's just a coincidence. Just when you skip, you do an actual week. Where is the situation going to be on April 1st? Wow, I see him on disheveled and in some sort of holding cell. So transition, I see the TV transition in power. Guys, like I said, I say these things about the timing, but it's very hard to predict the timing. But it feels like he's really pushing. Oh, and the other thing I saw on the 23rd image of the little room here, that he was, as this thing was burning, he was using his feet to try to push the accelerator. There was an accelerator, and still trying to create more and more chaos and division, as if he's some sort of like wild animal, like but animals are like, I think animals are 100 times better uh than this man. So it's really weird. But again, it shows me, let him play by the sword, die by the sword. I don't want him to die at all. I want him to survive, just see the downfall. I hope he's protected in that sense, right? Because the last thing I want him to be is to be a martyr of some kind. And I do see that actually JD Vance is looking, at first it's like, oh, let me see, kind of enjoying the position that Trump is in. But at the same time, he starts to realize that the environment is not good for him either. And as Trump exits, it will look bad for him as well. So, okay, now this question was about the way that Trump is attacking NATO and asking for help, begging for help as everything goes down the wrong direction. But I have to ask another question, which is what's happening? What's going to happen to this Strait of Hormuz? Okay, it will tell us how long the war is going to go on for, really, because as I said before, and like hundreds of thousands of people have said before, it's a geographical fact that Iran has control over that space. So it's it's not, you can't just, I want to call my friends. Oh, we're gonna go over there. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so the next part is what will happen at the Strait of Hormuz in the next 2 weeks. Okay, so what will happen? Wow, I see. Wow. I actually see Iran celebrating that Trump went down. I'm like, wow, what is this? But guys, like I said, I'm just telling you what I see here. It is like I was talking to Karina yesterday how hard it is. Like in some ways, you see these things and like your logic mind's like, are you for real? Come on. Because what I see is that they are like attacking. Then comes the news that Trump has fallen. And they're like, we won. We won. And then the things they that's right. And they stop. I feel like they honestly, there's pause and they retreat. And what happens now to the countries that were attacked, like UAE, Saudi Arabia, and such? They were saying resume production, and I see shake hands with Iran. It's saying they stop. Okay, wow, that's really wow, amazing. So that's really interesting because what I see is that they realize like we made the giant mistake of trusting Jeddah and the U.S. and to a degree Israel, right? And now we, in some ways, we're better off just respecting them because, right? I think the U.S. I mean, the betrayal that honestly that they suffered at the hands of the man who betrayed everybody. And it's like Trump has been hit like this his whole life in real estate. When he was his entire life, he has betrayed everybody, and it's like now he's a politician, right? Powerful person. He's betraying. He's still the same person. That's what he does. And so that's really, it is what it is, right? What are you going to say? What are you going to do about it? I mean, and I want to end this with the footage of somebody from Kuwait at a TV on the TV thing, an interview in English actually, where he's saying that's what a mistake it was to trust Jared Kushner. So, okay, so in the end, I think Trump is gonna fall. Oh, yeah. Because the guy is really, again, he's destroying the world. He's getting people unalived, right? So, and all kinds of things. So let's just pause here for 1 second. Okay, so
we need to know that you cannot appease Zionists. You cannot buy influence. Look at Jared Kushner. We know how much he took from the Gulf. It's open source public info. And now the same countries that gave him all that money for zero return are facing strikes and bombs. And they're trying to make it seem as if it is our duty to carry on the job that Israel wants to continue. which is a very crazy idea to begin with. So we need to change the way we think how we can influence Washington.
So again, this is from the internet. I don't know, there's no name who this person is. Okay. But he's telling the truth, right? A Kuwaiti analyst openly criticized Gulf policy towards Washington after the latest strike, saying the region paid billions for influence and received nothing in return. He pointed directly to Jared Kushner, noting that Gulf money flowed heavily into his orbit, yet the same states that financed those channels still ended up facing strikes and pressure. So I talked about this on the video yesterday, right, about Jared and how dare he, I mean, as they're being bombed, he's just like, hello, I'm raising $5 billion. And like he did in the vision that I had, he didn't offer them anything. There they are being bombed, and this is a person who has a lot of influence. He could have done something, or at least spoken up to try to help them, but he didn't. So that's I just wanted to show you this because I saw this right after I had posted the video. So it's they call him out. They're calling him out. They love him. So okay, so what's yeah, to say 100% is exactly how they feel. So okay. All right, so I'm gonna discuss a different matter next. Okay. I want to do a video about the Doge dudes. There's some video depositions of them, which are very interesting. All right, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye bye.